Hello, NerdRoulette! My event in American history is the sinking of the USS Maine. For those of you who aren't familiar, the sinking of the USS Maine is considered the last big trigger in the lead-up of events leading to the Spanish-American War. As with any great conflict, it's certainly not the only event that led up to it, but it was a rather large factor. From 1868 to 1878 and even beyond, Cuba had been struggling with Spain for its independence. This struggle for independence, of course, interfered with U.S. trade with the Caribbean and Cuba, which was a huge deal back then. As such, President McKinley was facing a lot of pressure from U.S. business owners. The fact that journalism was more about selling copies than information back then, which is still sort of true today, certainly aggravated the situation by getting the American public enraged with what Spain was doing to the Cuban people. This sort of yellow journalism fanned the flames of war. William Randolph Hearst is quoted as having said to his illustrator, Frederick Remington, "You furnish the pictures, and I'll furnish the war." And this statement probably isn't all that far from the truth, in hindsight. The fuse of war was already burning strong, but it wouldn't be until a pre-dreadnought battleship deployed to Havana Harbor to protect U.S. interests, called the USS Maine, met its end. Just 5 weeks after the sinking of the Maine, on March 28, 1898, the U.S. Navy announced that the ship had been destroyed by an outside explosion in the harbor, presumably a mine, planted by the Spanish. This, of course, enraged the U.S. public, especially after it hit the newsstands that more than 200 sailors had been killed. The Spanish responded to what they considered to be the inevitability of war by placing a blockade around Cuba. And on April 25, 1898, the U.S. Congress stated that they had been at a state of war with Spain since 4 days prior, when the blockade had started. Thus began the 10-week-long Spanish-American War. For the past 110 years, the cause of the sinking of the Maine has been debated. There's been numerous studies on the cause of the sinking done over the years, and the conclusions that the researchers have arrived at have varied from internal fire to the original mine theory to thoughts even as drastic as that the sinking was staged in order to provoke war with Spain. Completely off topic, but I have a whiteboard now. What should I do with it? And that, NerdRoulette, will do it for this week. Rob, I'll see you tomorrow.